Okay. Seriously? Hold on one second. Cool.
Kev, what's up?
Only other Kevin that fucking matters. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it was so great to see you. I hope all is good in your world, man. Let's get right into it. Let's talk some 4:30 movie. Much enjoyed it. Great love letter to youth and cinematic obsession. Heavily relatable for me. Look, not to get ahead of ourselves, but Booties looks amazing. Like, can you make that next?
It could work, right? Like, why not, man? If the Ghoulies worked and they were just a Gremlins knockoff, I think the
Yeah.
Booties could work. But the big question is, once you see the movie, like, because the way we shot it, it's like Jason Biggs is in the porta john, and then things happen. And then when they open the door, you see the creature, but you don't see him. So apparently, they just like crawl up your ass and eat you from the inside out.
Absolutely terrifying. I mean, I remember when Ghoulies came out when I was a kid. Like, I think I just saw that one scene where like the monster pops out of the toilet. I didn't go to the bathroom alone for like 9 months. Like,
Jaws did that to me. I saw a T-shirt once of the Jaws head popping out of a toilet, and a guy on the toilet hopping in the air when I was 7 years old. Man, I was like, I'll never sit on the toilet again.
exactly. Yes. I mean, like, Rodriguez did it with Machete, right? Like, there's been like the Grindhouse movies. Like, I'm telling you, like, Booties, you got to do Booties.
It's cheap enough. And the kid, I love that little sequence because the kid who made the booty, this guy Nick, who hangs out at the theater and whatnot, he went away to the school, Tom Savini school for special effects like makeup and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I reached out to him. We had a low budget movie that's quick shot. Like I know Robert Kirkman, who did Tusk for us and other things and whatnot. So he's a master of the field of rubber prosthetics. But like for Nick, it was, an opportunity. I'm like, hey man, do you want to make the booty? And he was like, are you serious? So he was in Savini's like film school at the time, and he wanted to come down with us to shoot for the weekend when we're shooting in the movie. And they're like, well, if you leave the school, man, you're gonna lose a grade. And he's like, but I'm going to a movie set. Like that's that's what we're doing here and stuff. And they were like, oh, for real? Oh, okay, go ahead. So I love it. When I see that scene, it makes me think of Nick. And Nick reminds me of a young me. This is a kid who, like, when I was a kid, I wanted to make special effects makeup, rubber monsters and shit. That's why, Tusk exists, because those are the movies I wanted to make when I was a kid, but just I don't have the artistic ability to craft in rubber and stuff like that. So I'm so happy for Nick. He got to see it on the big screen.
I mean, speaking of a young you, is this 4:30 movie? Is this autobiographical? Is this kid you? And did you have that kind of game? Because like he's definitely like batting above his league.
He's charming, man. He has his drawbacks. Brian David is short as opposed to Kevin Smith was fat, but he's got his charms. And if I was to write that character from where I am now in life, it would be through a different perspective. It would be through the, hey kids, it's me, Kevin Smith perspective. Thankfully, I had recordings of me as a youngster biking around Highlands, talking into a tape recorder and stuff. So I was able to go back and pull that voice, the
awesome.
innocence, the Kevin Smith before he became an entertainer, pre-Clerks Kevin Smith, BC before Clerks, as opposed to AD after Dante. And I think that's why it sounds authentic, because it comes from the real kid's voice who's not trying to impress you. He's just struggling to figure out who the fuck he is and what he wants to do in life.
I love that. I love that. I mean, is this up there with Clerks? Then is like your most personal? I know they're all personal, but like this one strikes a chord.
Yeah, I think what it shares with Clerks is the DNA of location first. Like before there was a movie to do, an idea to do the film, there was a location, and the location birthed, it was the impetus for the film. So when I was working in a convenience store, I was like, I could shoot a movie here. Me and my friends bought that theater, named it Smog Castle Cinemas 2 years ago from last Saturday. 2 days ago, I was at the theater having a thing, and it was our 2-year anniversary since we took over. And since we had the theater, I was like, well, shit, man, we got a location. Like you can shoot a movie here, man. We own the place. We'll have a cheap location. And so I was like, okay, we're going to make a movie in the movie theater. But then I was like, well, in this particular movie theater, it looks old because nothing's been refurbished for years. The same seats in theater one are the same seats I sat in to watch Friday the 13th part 2.
Wow.
That was like not a drawback. I was like, well, wait a second. That means if we point a camera anywhere in the theater, it could be 1980s, man. Like we could get a period piece. We could merchant ivory this shit without spending a lot of money. And so that kind of dictated where the story went. Cause I was like, all right, well, if it looks like the 80s in here, I guess I can reach back to the 80s, back when what I did was come to this theater, pay for one movie, and then sneak into all the other movies throughout the day until our parents came pick us up at 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
So just like Clerks, the location dictated the adventure in the first place. And it being personal, you know, they're all personal. When every Kevin Smith movie I watch, I'm like, well, that came from this, that came from this. But this one definitely cribs liberally from my life and childhood. And it acts as a kind of secret origin story for like how we got to Clerks.
Yeah. And it's your Merchant Ivory movie. That's the quote for those that will get that reference.
Yes.
Amazing.
10 years, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak candidly to you. Like, if you showed me the trailer for this, like with no credits, I wouldn't have necessarily thought it was a Kevin Smith movie. I'd be like,
Yeah.
it's definitely a Richard Linklater movie, or like it's got that nostalgic coming of age vibe that like he's mastered, right? Like, and I know Slacker, because we've talked about this over the years. Like, Slacker was a huge influence on you. What you know, for Clerks especially, like was Linklater sort of in your mind at all making this one?
No, but another filmmaker was, and it's one that like it's ironic considering my history with Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza is why this movie exists. I saw Licorice Pizza around the same time we bought the movie theater, and I was like, "Oh my God, look at him! He's looking back, like you know, he's the older filmmaker now who's looking back at his childhood and how he got here." I was like, "That's novel. I should think about doing the same thing." And this is weird or ironic because you know I was the guy years ago who somebody asked me innocently on my message board, you know, at theviewaskew.com years ago. Hey man, have you, because I just become an Academy member, so I was getting the free screeners. They're like, "Did you get a screener for Magnolia?" And I said, "Yeah," and it's sitting on my desk as a constant reminder of what bloated self-indulgence looks like. I literally wrote that. It's embarrassing. It's online. And that was because Dogma was in theaters at the same time. People were talking like, giving a lot of praise to Magnolia, giving no praise to Dogma. I felt, and I was like, "Fuck that movie." Yeah. So, you know, I'm of course, long since then, I've, you know, self-corrected. I love Magnolia. It's a beautiful fucking movie and stuff. But, you know, online periodically, people will remind me like, the guy who made Yoga Hosers told the guy who made Boogie Nights that. So to be fair, years after the fact, and I've seen Paul in real life many times, and he's such a fucking class act, and again, wonderful filmmaker, absolutely one of our best. But it's ironic that like, you know, the guy who years ago was like, "Fuck Magnolia," is the guy that years later is like, you know, I wouldn't have made my movie if he hadn't made his. Yeah. So more so than Richard, it's PTA this time around.
I love it. What's the film that you haven't gotten to make yet that you're dying to?
Moose Jaws. Moose Jaws is coming. We're almost there. Moose Jaws is Jaws, but with a moose instead of a shark. That's the movie I was born to make.
That's the movie.
A man who loves Jaws, loves Canada, loves Bullwinkle. All those elements come together and make Jaws. And I've been having very exciting discussions recently with Justin Long.
Okay.
Because me and Justin, you know, we made Tusk together. Yeah. And Justin, one of the bravest actors I've ever known, because he did make Tusk, even though his mother was like, "Don't respond to that boy. Never talk to him again." Justin still came out and made the movie. So me and him recently been texting back and forth about Moose Jaws. And I think now we're starting to, I see sunlight in the distance. I see like it could be a possibility. And, you know, as much as people like, "Hey, this 4:30 movie is so personal and whatnot," so will Moose Jaws be, but you'll never know it, right? Like, because it'll be a ridiculous Jaws fucking parody, but in Canada with a moose as a killer moose that eats children. But so personal because my whole life I've been dreaming about making a Jaws movie, and they'll never let me make a Jaws movie, but they can't stop me, Kev, from making a Moose Jaws movie.
And then after Moose Jaws, Booties, right?
Which one?
Booties.
Booties for sure, man. Look, you want to see the Booties?
Yeah.
Somebody just has to give me like $500,000. Okay. I'll figure out a way to make Booties for sure.
Let's do it. I'll produce it. Let's do it.
Done and done.
Kev, always great to see you. I can talk to you forever.
Such a pleasure. Tell me the piano piece behind you, though. The Schroeder.
Oh, it's Stevie Wonder in the style of Peanuts. Two of my favorite things.
Fantastic. Love it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Hope to see you again soon.
Excellent seeing you, Kev.